All right. He has been waiting patiently. He has my apologies for waiting patiently. My man, easily one of my favorite people to talk to. I cringe. As soon as I saw you come in, I cringed. It's like, oh, God damn it, this is going to hurt. Dr. Wilmer Leon, how you doing, my man? You doing okay?
Man, I'm doing great. And since your audience doesn't like it when you argue with your guests, I'm going to start the show by saying, I don't care what you want to talk about. You're wrong.
Right.
You're wrong.
So it depends on the guest. I don't know what it is. I got into a big argument with John Kiriakou. I got into a big argument with Sarah Bills. Everybody had smiles. So it wasn't even like a vicious argument.
You're
and
wrong.
man, the comments.
The world is flat. Donald Trump is right. You're wrong. Go ahead. Let's
just let the audience talk about as if they don't. Dr. Wilmer Leon, he's a radio host, political scientist, nationally syndicated columnist, host of Connecting the Dots on YouTube, and he also has a show on Sirius. I never remember the name of that show for some reason.
Oh, Inside the Issues.
Inside the Issues.
Inside the Issues with Wilmer Leon. See, right, you're wrong. You're already wrong. You started off wrong.
You're not wrong if you don't know. Like if you just say, I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to believe it there.
No, I don't think they hate it. I think they get very, very particular about whether they think somebody's right or wrong. It's like, that person's wrong. That person's very wrong. Why is that person, it becomes that. And to me, it's like, dude, it's a conversation. They come to a different assessment. Is what it is. I love it. I love those conversations. Those they get me energized.
That's how you learn.
That is how you learn. Because I could be wrong. I go into it knowing as a man I am flawed. And I could be wrong in my take. And my take can evolve. So yeah, it's just life. I'm curious, have you been watching what has been taking place in Ukraine, the protests? I mean, for one, Petrovsk is falling, which logistics hub, Russia's been going after it for several months. Mm-hmm. They've been able to create a wedge inside, not to mention a pincer on the outside. So it is obviously falling. Chasiv Yar is falling. Ukraine, it seems that attrition warfare is starting to bite, in serious ways, where they don't have the manpower necessary to maintain the areas to which they were holding before. And then you get protests. Now, the protests come after Zelensky goes after SAPO and NABU, these kind of organizations that the U.S. implemented that were corruption agencies that don't seem to be doing a good job considering all the corruption that's still in Ukraine. But it seemed like the moment that Zelensky went to solidify his power base and touch those organizations, all hell broke loose overnight. Is that a coincidence to you?
I don't think it's a coincidence. And it also makes me wonder, and this is just a question because I don't have any evidence to support this, but is this the United States having a counter coup against the guy they couped in the first place? We had a coup to get him into power, and now we're going to have a coup. They've got to figure out a way to get rid of this guy. And so it just made me wonder, is Victoria Nuland, did she get another box of cookies? And did she mail more cookies into Ukraine? Because I don't have any reports that she's been walking around their central square fomenting unrest. So maybe she just emailed or mailed cookies. Maybe she sent an email with a picture of cookies. I don't know. But it to me, I think you have to ask the question. And your reaction to what I said makes me think you're thinking along the same lines.
Yes, I did an entire video effectively laying out how Trump's attacks on Russiagate, Seymour Hersh's article coming out saying they're trying to get rid of Zelensky, the coordinated press pieces. I mean, for God's sake, there were 5 or 6 different articles, even coming out of the Kiev Independent, which is just a propaganda outlet for Kiev. Zelensky has betrayed us. We know how to fight for our rights, etc. You get protests like this. I should protest first. Protests like this coming out, where they are going directly at Zelensky himself.
Mhm.
This one apparently has historical significance from the first Maidan. And, what's also wild about this, yeah, I'll stop. There we are. What's also wild about this, Zelensky is backtracked, kind of. So apparently, within an hour or so, they had passed the bill in order to go after Nabu and Sapo. The new reporting is that Zelensky has now tried to put out a bill saying, hey, 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 I listened to all of you. Stove is hot. Behind the scenes, probably, I don't like the fact that the United States is coming after me, and I know that they're coming after me, so I need to do something to stem the tide on this. And so he passes or puts out legislation. From my understanding, the rider's on vacation. So he puts out legislation to renew the independence of those organizations, kind of.
Mhm.
And I say kind of because apparently they're adding lie detectors to people who get registered for the organization, which you can imagine. I don't like you, so hey, your lie detector is a little dirty, so no, we're not going to allow you in. That's what I say, kind of, right? Because you are saying we're giving back the independence, and yet you're exerting a subversive level of independence in an organization that you're claiming to give back independence to. It's fascinating.
And I think you can draw parallels between these types of actions in Ukraine and what's being done here. Look at what the administration is doing to George Mason University in Virginia. What they're doing or what they've done to the University of Virginia in terms of the president is being fired. The attack on academia. There are similar actions being taken, slightly different spheres of influence, but similar types of attacks. So there seem to be parallels between here and there, and what's the common thread? The United States. So fascism doesn't like dissent. Fascism doesn't like an educated electorate because they tend to ask too many damn questions.
Do you? I don't know if you've like Frank Herbert, the guy who created Dune. I've said before in the show, Frank Herbert is a god. Those books are like political textbooks. The way that he writes that stuff, it's kind of weird mix of politics and spiritualism, but there's a heavy bit on politics. And he points out in his book, what is it called? God Emperor Dune, where he becomes a worm and lives for thousands of years. It's a lot. But in the context of the character has historical reference, meaning he knows because he's lived the lives of millions of people over the course of all of this time period. He has their memories, their knowledge. He can even dip into their understanding. And he points out, he says, you scratch a liberal, you find an aristocrat. That from his point of view, all of these people are fascists. That the governments that come up with, like democracies, inevitably slide into some level of fascism because, as you point out, they don't like dissent. Even democracies don't all that much like dissent. So they may put on this robe of, we're democracy, we're this, we're that. But at the end of the day, are you? Look at what they were doing here in the United States. However you start out, you may have this revolutionary fervor of we're going to be a democracy, we're going to be this, we're going to be that. Okay, give it 100 years, give it 200 years. Those guys don't have that revolutionary fervor. They're just doing a job at that point. And they want to make their job simpler, easier. And it is far simpler and easier to not have a lot of people that are very pissed off. And just one last point, because I want you to respond to that. When Princeton did that study, they found that the amount of leverage that the public had was 1%, meaning the amount of influence into political affairs was only 1%. The American public disagrees with pretty much everything that they're doing, whether it's going after Medicaid, whether it's not providing health care, whether it's $15 an hour minimum wage, meaning these are things that the American public wants that are not part of the political space. And regardless of the complaints of the public, it doesn't seem to affect the political space one iota. Give me a take on that. You're a learned man of history. You would know how to hit this.
Well, giving me a hell of a lot more
You
credit
are.
than I probably deserve. But, well, let me make a couple of points, and I'm not sure that they're going to answer your question. But yesterday, I spent probably 3 hours. I just got captivated by this History Channel documentary on Genghis Khan, and how he in 1200 was able to coalesce and build the Mongolian Empire, and then how he went out and took over parts of China, took over parts of Turkey. I mean, for about 50 years, that dude was kicking ass and taking names. And it was just sheer brutality, but he just kept marching forward. And in watching that, I just scratched my head and said, man, they've been at this thing a long time. Comparing that to the United States invasion of Iraq, and all of this, I just said, man, this has been going on a long time. But I just wanted to put that out there. And if you get a chance to see it, it's captivating to me. But to your point, what I think you have to add to that analysis is capitalism. That when I don't think that, if I understand your point, I don't think that the structure of government in and of itself takes you in the direction that you've just described. I think it is the addition of capitalism that takes you into the fascistic element of life. Because as you sit back right now and look at China, and how China has seemed to be able to strike a balance, you can make some money here, but we're not going to allow you to, through that acquisition of capital, you're not going to become more powerful than the government. And you add to that the Chinese culture and the understanding that the collective is more powerful than the individual. I think those things will protect China against the decline, the type of decline that we're seeing in the West. And I'm not saying that over time China won't decline. What I'm saying is, if it does, the reasons or the basis of the decline will be different than what we see going on here. Hopefully that makes sense.
Fantastic point.
Oh,
fantastic point. Because you're right.
You need to get out more, and you need to argue with your guests.
That's people in the United States act I can't get it up, as if we're fish in water. Like,
as if we're not in a system. I didn't hear you. As if we're, you said people in the United States act
as if we're fish in water. Like there is like,
oh, fish in water. Okay.
Yeah, like there's no we are in a political system, yes, but we are a capitalistic country. The capitalistic country thing is not benign. Like, that's not like, oh, there's just nothing there. No, you have a system in place that has a very particular point of view in the direction that it takes. There's a bias, and that bias is towards, how do we make more profit? How do we maximize profit? Right. And the more money that you have, the more freedom that you have in a particular system. And so, agree, if you're in a political space and you've lost that revolutionary fervor to be a democracy, and you feel like you're a guy doing the job, if somebody says, hey man, I'm going to give you a ton of money for your political campaigns, for you to put in your pockets, for your district, I just need you to, lean a particular way. Okay, well, that's that non-benign system influencing and interrupting your political space that is going to have an outward effect on your political space in a particular direction towards the capital. So you're right. You're absolutely right. It's not. Whereas I look at it and think to myself, okay, this country is clearly degraded. And it's like, okay, well, why? And I remember I asked Professor Wolftus, and that was the direction he went also. He was like, look, you have a capitalistic system.
Mm-hmm.
And that system is degrading because it stopped caring about things that are required for society. It's just,
and the people have allowed it to happen. And I'll give an example. And people keep saying, well, Wilmer, why do you keep beating this drum? And I said, well, because the thing is hey, maybe I'm a drummer. And in fact, I've always said to folks, I'm the drummer in the band. I'm just back here trying to keep some rhythm. And every now and then I go, brr, bah, and the music moves forward. I look at Hakeem Jeffries and Gregory Meeks in New York, and and now you've got AOC. How can they continue to back the genocide in Gaza? How do they back the U.S. invasion of Haiti when they are people of color? And I say that because AOC is Puerto Rican and Hakeem Jeffries and Meeks are African American. How do you sit there and listen to General Langley call for the arrest of, and some have said murder of, assassination of, Traoré in Burkina Faso? As a Black person, how do you back that play? Well, when you read, I forgot the guy's name, the consumer advocate that ran for president for the Green, Lebanese American dude, attorney. Anyway, he does a study, and you can also find this on The Intercept, how much AIPAC has contributed to the campaigns of Meeks and Jeffries. AOC apparently has turned down their money, but looking at Jeffries and Meeks, and then you look at how much money they've received from AIPAC, well, then why are they advocating and voting for and supporting that genocidal position? Now it makes sense, because they've been bought and paid for. But here's why I say all this. So I have relatives in New York, and I'm talking to them about this, and they are oblivious to what I'm saying. Yeah, they're, Wilmer, what? Wilmer, you hate everybody. No, I just hate Negroes on the take that are not operating in my interest because they're on the take. I hate Negroes that are hustling backwards.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, so many of the ones that are before us are on the take. So, but they're like, Wilmer, where do you get this? Well, read, damn it. It's in the paper. Or the Mamdani issue. See, now that to me is a bellwether of things to come. The direction that election goes in, and if he wins, will he be able to withstand the pressure and stick to his campaign promises? That could, and you got, I think, a sister in Arizona who is, I think her last name is Fox, who's running a similar campaign.
Mm-hmm.
This could be a shift in the dynamic, because Mamdani is now appealing to a different demographic than the Democratic Party elite are used to appealing to. And he's doing it in a manner, he's using social media as opposed to mainstream media to galvanize his base. And so will he be able to sustain this? We will see. But I don't know if those seemingly disparate points come together to make sense.
They do. No, they do. It's just there is a pressure that is obviously in a political space that we may not entirely be aware of. Like, because these people get in office, and somebody said once that when Sanders ran, I forget who it was, but that when Sanders won, that invariably he would have been faced with, if he really wanted to do what he wanted to do in the political space, meaning if he's a true believer, and he's like, I want people to get X amount, I want to change the political space, I don't want there to be billionaire, whatever, all of that stuff, that ultimately you are going to be confronted with a systemic issue. Like, meaning you're going to have to touch a very hot rod that people don't like to touch.
The
Take
third
Donald
rail.
Trump, for example, a third rail, which is the capitalistic system that people act as if is benign. And that's kind of the issue, right? When Donald Trump, for example, when Donald Trump is like, I'm going to pass all these tariffs and I'm going to go after the world and I'm going to try to build industry in the United States. What happened? The stock market was dropping thousands of points a day. That is pressure. Now, he ignored it for the most part. But then when he got into the full faith and credit of the United States is now at risk because the bond market is being sold off, Trump kneeled. Even somebody like him kneeled, meaning whatever he wanted to do politically was subordinate to the financial matters that this country effectively runs on. And under normal circumstances, a politician would never even think of doing something like that. I mean, granted, it's stupid, but he wouldn't think of doing something like that, even if it was, let's say, a lefty trying to do something similar in regards to, you know, I'm going to go after billionaires, I'm going to go after companies, I'm going to go after
Barack Obama.
But did Obama ever really believe that? I mean, Obama had Citigroup.
He said it.
Yeah, but then he filled his
I don't know
office.
if he believed it or not, but I'm just using him as an example to what you're saying because he campaigned on that.
And then he filled his office with all these people from Citigroup. And then he filled his office.
No, you're no. All I'm saying, I'm not saying he believed it. I'm just saying he campaigned on it. That's my only point.
I see. It just seems like there's some political pressure that's there. And the reason I'm bringing this up is Mandani would need to be successful for that, let's say, new brand of politics to come into fruition. Meaning he would have to be able to say, yes, I'm going to do public grocery stores, and they work. I'm going to have rent control, and it works. Like, he needs to be a success. It can't just be enough to win. He has to win.
Absolutely
and show,
right. You're absolutely right. And two things. One, I think his probability of success is greater because he's running to be the mayor of New York, not the president of the United States.
Agreed.
So the space is smaller. So, and we know that he can do rent control because rent control is already in place. I lived in a rent control apartment in DC. And for those that have never lived in one, I remember I lived in an efficiency and was paying X. A person that had been in that building for 40 years died. I was able to move into a 1-bedroom, much bigger place, and paid half as much because the apartment was rent controlled. So that person had been paying rent, had started paying rent 40 years before I moved in there. So rent control is not a novel concept, is my point. It has already been implemented, already works. He can do that. What he's trying to do with grocery stores, that can be done. So that's one thing. When you talk about Bernie and Obama, to me, it's not so much what they can do by themselves. It's what do they advocate and what do they fight for? Do they many will tell you the most powerful tool that a president has is the bully pulpit.
Yes.
So will they use the bully pulpit to advocate and champion for? Will they use the bully pulpit to motivate their base to go out and what did FDR say to A. Philip Randolph? He said, Mr. Randolph, I hear you. Go out and make me do it.
Yeah.
So Bernie could have stood there and said, all right, folks, this is what I want to happen. Go out and make me do it. When I started criticizing Barack Obama, and people started, particularly black people, started coming to me and saying, man, what are you doing? Wilmer, you don't understand what he's up against. What I do know is that he never advocated, championed, and fought for the things that he told us he was going to accomplish.
Right.
I know that he ran on the single payer, right? What happened to when he got into office and the insurance companies got a hold of him, they told him, look, homie, under no circumstance are we going to allow you to do that.
Yep.
And if you do, we will sink you. He didn't come out and stand before the podium and say, hey, folks, let me tell you what just happened to me. Let me tell you a conversation I just had. Prudential or whoever Blue Cross, Blue Shield, whoever, they just left my office and this is what they threatened. So here's what we're going to do. Did he do that? No. He acquiesced. He folded like cheap lawn furniture or bad origami. So that there, to me, when you look at Mom Donnie running for mayor versus Bernie and Obama. Now, see, because I don't even think Bernie believed it.
Oh, I just think
Bernie
he's weak.
never fought for it.
I just think he's weak. I just think he's weak.
Okay.
And
I won't debate.
Insecure. Insecure.
I won't.
The reason why insecure is, you're running against the Democratic machine, and you don't believe it yourself that you have any chance of winning.
But you're an independent. You're not a Democrat.
But he ran as
You're not even in the machine. You're the ghost in the machine.
Kind of. I mean, but at the point where he ran, he was in the machine. And in his mind, I don't have a chance of winning. I can only push.
Why did he become an independent? He became an independent because he didn't believe in the democratic politics. But then he realized, if I want to be president, or at least if I want to run for president, see, because here's one of the questions that I think is important for people to ask themselves when they look at a candidate. Mm-hmm. Are you serious and committed to this business, or are you just running to have a voice and an impact on the process?
Right.
So, and I don't know, we could debate this for hours, but the only person that could truly answer the question is Bernie. Right. Bernie, did you really believe, and I'm not talking about was it practical, was it probable? Did you really believe that you could win the Democratic Party nomination? Or were you just there trying to influence the dialogue and add a couple planks to the platform for the ultimate winner?
I'm telling you, it's the latter. He didn't believe it.
Okay.
And to make it even worse, it was only when he caught fire where he was like, oh, I may have a chance to win this thing. It was later. I mean, even the relationship with Hillary Clinton and Sanders, where initially they were all smiles. Right. It was all fun.
And then we find out Hillary sank him.
She sank him, but it became more bitter when it became clear that Sanders started winning states. Like, they didn't even think Sanders was going to win states.
But what did Bernie do when Hillary and Debbie Wasserman Schultz trained their sights on him?
He bent over.
There you go.
There you go. So, you need me to spray water?
He should have listened. He should have listened to James Brown. I'd rather die on my feet than to keep living on my knees.
I agree with
if you're serious, if you're about that life, that and I don't see Bernie as being about that life.
No, I agree. He's weak, sheepdog. He's
right.
weak. I mean,
he's a sheep
ironically,
no, he's not a sheepdog. He's a sheep herder for the Democrats.
Ironically, you would need somebody
He's the
similar
bell cow. He's the
to
bell
Trump.
cow.
Yeah.
For the Democrats.
You need somebody, but you would need somebody similar to Trump. Like, meaning you would need somebody who, I'm going to put a knife in whoever I need to put a knife into. I don't care what industry that is. I'm going to fight for a public. I'm going to be backed by my coalition, be okay with being backed by my coalition. Like, you need sterner stuff that it just wasn't him in that way. I mean, because you're talking about changing the system.
Look at Bernie's people. Look at what's her name? There was his speech. I think she was his chief of staff or speechwriter.
Nina Turner.
No, after her. She's on MSNBC. See, Nina Turner stayed true to the game.
Yes. And they put a knife in her too.
Nina Turner stayed true to the game. But now you've got that sister with the real close cut on MSNBC.
I know you're talking about, what is her name? That turned over and went to Biden, that went to Joe Biden's team.
Right. Not about that life. Now she's a clear advocate for the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Well,
Nina Turner, Nina Turner stayed true to the game, and the fans left the arena. The other sister,
her last name is Sanders. Her last name is Sanders.
Right.
I just can't think of her first.
She took the check, and now she's all about the Democratic Party. And you know what? Because wait a minute, she worked for Kamala Harris.
Yes, you're right. You're right. And then she moved over to Joe Biden's team. But I thought she worked for Sanders. She did work for Sanders at one point.
She did. I thought she did. So anyway, you get my point.
Yes. Yes. One last thing before I let you go. You pointed out, you made this point earlier. You said they've been doing this. You were watching the Mongolian thing. And you said they have been doing this for a very long time. And, when I have a conversation with people, that's something I also point out, even though I don't go back as far as Mongolia, I go back as far as Napoleon, where these fights for empires, like this insane thing of, I'm going to knock you over, you're going to be my vassal. And then when I get strong enough, I'm going to fight back and we're going to have a war. And this kind of continuous, I always I don't put it as a fight for civilization. That was kind of the fight I had with Sarah yesterday. I put it as survival, that people conform to their environments. And initially you have this, you need to work, you need to fight for resources, you need to fight to defend areas because, there's no Leviathan and somebody's. And when we become states, we kept that philosophy, we kept that thought process, because at the end of the day, we all know we're vulnerable and we all know that we can lack things in that vulnerability. Then that gets somehow shifted in a political space where, you have the technological achievement and accomplishment. Well, that doesn't have to be true, but you keep it true. You have a system, a capitalistic system that keeps it true of survival being primary, your lack of needs, your lack of resources. Those things become enshrined where you can have, let's say, unsavory actors who still goes with this notion of empire and still go with this notion of primacy. That doesn't need to be true in our current world with the technological advancement. You're absolutely right. We've been playing this game for a very long time, and now we have nukes. And this is a different game, even though it's the same game.
Genghis Khan had catapults. He had horses.
Yeah.
And in terms of the technology, and this is some of the stuff that I picked up in watching this, if you got another minute or two. What one of the things that made Genghis Khan the success that he was, other than being a brilliant guy and a strategist, he had a cavalry as opposed to an infantry.
Right.
So he was able his whole army was a cavalry as opposed to an infantry. And what they were saying in the piece was he was attacking agrarian societies. And as agrarian societies, their protection was on foot, whereas he was just a butt-kicking warlord whose entire military was based on horseback. So they were able to ride in, do their thing, ride out. And then he had catapults. That was the technological advance when he started to attack the empires in China, what we now know as China. They were fortified, there were fortresses. He was able to use the technological advancement of the catapult. And the one thing that he was always after was tribute. I need money.
Pay me. Pay me. I'll pay you. Pay me. Yeah.
Give me one of your daughters as a bride. That's what helped to create the détente and the embassy in the region was, I got this guy's daughter. She's now my wife. And this is going to help to calm things down because the king over here doesn't want his daughter to be murdered.
Right.
So it was technological advancement and payment, which is what we see still today. Technological advancement and payment. For him, it was payment in money and in intangible objects that he could use, pelts and all kinds of stuff. Now it's bauxite and aluminum, but at the end of the day, it's still payment. And can I ask you, before we go, can I ask you one question?
Please.
Did you see, and I'm sure you've seen, the video of Donald Trump and Jay Powell yesterday?
Oh, that was humiliating. Donald Trump gets it wrong on camera, and Jerome Powell, annoyed, has to correct him. Because what's wild about that? Trump has no power to get rid of Jerome Powell.
Correct.
And Powell looks at him, is like annoyed by the whole thing. It's like, dude, you're adding in a building that was built 5 years ago. What the hell are you talking about?
I strongly suggest folks go back and look at that video. Once you stop laughing, look at that video, because as soon as Donald Trump opens his mouth, Jay Powell starts shaking his head.
Yes. Yes.
He starts shaking his head. And he's standing there and he's shaking his head. And Donald Trump keeps talking and he keeps shaking his head. And then well, I've got the paper right here. And Jay Powell, like, man, what you got? But here's the other thing. Who was standing next to Donald Trump?
Oh, I don't remember.
Tim Scott.
That's right. That's right. He said Tim has been looking into these issues. Tim has been with me for a while. That's right.
Tim Scott was there as the chirping Negro, the yes man,
black mascot. Yep.
And when Donald Trump said $3.1 billion, and Tim Scott says, yeah, I think it was 3.1 billion too. I read that too. Really?
You know what's fascinating about that too? The capitalist, the head capitalist, tells the president, you don't know what you're talking about.
Mr. Man, you said 3.1? Oh yeah, I saw 3.1 too. You were both wrong. Stupid. Stupid Tim Scott. You were both wrong. See, follow that man if you want to. Stupid is what stupid does. Yeah, I saw it too. Go back and watch the video, man. You need to run.
Trump could have said anything, and Tim Scott would have been like, "Yeah, I saw it too." Yeah, it was absurd.
Tim Scott is standing right next to him. Yeah, I saw it too. Oh, did you? Okay. Okay.
I would, one thing before I go.
Yeah.
A capitalist who the president can't fire, looked at the president and said, "You're wrong," and had no F's to give and telling him, "Nope, you're wrong. You know, you
And
got it
Donald
wrong."
Trump, so Jay Powell says, "You've added a third building."
Yeah,
And
that was
Donald
built
Trump
5
says,
years ago.
and well, wait a minute. Jay Powell says, "You've added a third building." And Donald Trump says, "Well, yeah, but it's part of this construction." And Jay Powell says, "No, we built that building 5 years ago. That building is finished."
Yes.
And he goes, "Well, it's part of this anyway." And then he moves on.
I'm just pointing out the ease at which Jerome Powell had no F's to give. He wasn't scared of him. He didn't care. He just told him flat out, "You're wrong. You're wrong." That was that to me. That was amazing.
I got it right here. Really? What you got? He's playing poker.
Yeah.
He's playing poker and got no hand.
Yeah. Powell called his bluff.
That's why I've always wondered, and you may have heard me say this before, how can you bankrupt a casino? The house always wins. Isn't that the standard mantra for a casino?
Yeah. Except Donald Trump.
Now we understand how Donald Trump bankrupted the casino that he owned because he can't play cards.
Dr. Wilmer
got a chirping dumbass Tim Scott. Yeah, I thought too. You know, I am I holding somebody else up?
You are, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to jump in because the audience hates when I do that, and I want to let you.
I'm sorry. I equate that. I equate Tim Scott with his stupid. I shot too with Hakeem Jeffries. They own the Senate. They own the House. What do you want me to do? I want you to do your damn job. That's what I want you to do. I'm done.
Yeah,
and I apologize. I apologize to your next guest. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I was holding somebody up.
Have jobs that you're asking them too much to do their jobs.
Just do your job,
Dr. Wilmer Leon, my man, easily one of my favorite people to talk to. He is a radio host, political scientist, nationally syndicated columnist, host of Connecting the Dots on YouTube and on Inside the Issues on Sirius. Thank you for this, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
You have a good one, okay? Be safe.
You too.